Well, good morning, guys, and welcome to the show. Today, we have an unboxing of a radio that, man, I've been waiting to do this one, and you guys have been waiting for this one forever. But before we get to that, Fernando.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Today, we have the Sony, oh yeah, this guy right here, the Sony Xav 9500 ES. That's right. We've been sitting on this one for so long. Sony actually called us and asked when we were going to do it. We're going to start it right now. Let's hop to it. So hey guys, welcome to this. This is going to be part one of a series of videos we're going to be doing on this. It's going to be the unboxing, taking a look at it, understanding every bit and piece on the outside of it. Part two, we're going to dive into this operating system, see all the features it has. Part three, we're going to install it in a vehicle using iData. First things first is we want to take a look at the box as always. What does this thing have? Flipping it up on the side here, elegant. ES, very plain, very simple. Look at that elegant ES again. Then we have little tiny ES, but you know, some of the stuff that you need to know about features and licensing and all that other neat stuff. A serial number. And then this guy here, they had to do it. We know they had to put it somewhere. They love putting little icons on these things. They like kind of talking about it, and so they did it. High-res audio wireless, USB-C, Bluetooth, Sirius XM ready, iData Maestro compatible, Wi-Fi certified, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, made for iPhone. And then down here, really low, it says Maestro RR or RR2 sold separately, referred to important notice about network services on the top of the, yeah, okay. So if you want to do iData, you do need to buy your RR AR separately. Talks about the size of the screen, 10.1 inch screen, 720p single DIN back chassis, 3 5-volt pre-outs. If you're going to use power, it's got 55 watts times 4, and it comes with a microphone. Flipping it over to look at the back, it's in a Jeep Wrangler. What are the odds, right? Let's open it up. It's got a little yellow tag right here that says, please read operating instructions. We know none of y'all are going to do that because you're watching this video. We got a lot of stuff to sort through. Let's just kind of set it over to the side here. First thing up is that owner's instruction manual. Anytime you open a box, you look for the pink, the yellow, the other just random sheet of paper that's in there. You want to find that. That is the most important thing. The reason for that is because they figured out something after they printed the manual, and or it was something that was just so blatantly overlooked that they decided to put it on its own piece of paper because they figured you'd miss it. This talks about the screws that need to go into the radio itself. Apparently somebody didn't know you were supposed to tighten the screws firmly. This is the quick start guide. It comes in multiple languages, so it may not have all the information you're looking for, but conveniently enough is a little QR code here in the bottom. And then this last piece of paper is the warranty. First piece after the instruction manual, this is the USB extension that comes with the radio. It is about 1 meter in length. Next up we have the GPS antenna. Now Sony thankfully uses a standard GPS antenna that will work with the iData. If you're lucky enough to have a GPS antenna already in the dash, pick up theirs, and that way you won't have to find some place to put this. If you're not that fortunate, it has a little piece of tape on it. It can see through glass, it can see through plastic. This is plastic. It just cannot see through metal. This adds a bit of a ground plane to it if it needs it. We have the hands-free microphone. In the bag are 3 pieces. Double-sided piece of tape that is for mounting this. Otherwise, you have the little clip here. How we typically will mount this is it's going to sit just like this. The wire will wrap around it like so. I'll take this piece of tape and I will stick it on here just like this, and I will come up underneath the headliner over by the mirror and then snake this cable up into the headliner around and down, and this will give me a really nice location for my wireless mic. Next up is the RC outputs. We have a bunch of them. Let's kind of break it down. You'll notice here that there is this shrink wrap with a zip tie underneath it. That is so that when you plug it in and you're doing one of these things, instead of coming over here and unclip it and pulling it out is there to protect these wires. It is nice that it does plug into the back of the radio, because if you do have to service the radio, it makes it real easy just to take the radio out, not have to unplug all the RCAs. You can also put this into the car, put some heat shrink over the RCAs, and build the harness before the radio goes in. So there's a lot of nice stuff you can do with this. Looking at those three yellows, we have rear camera in, camera 1 in, and camera 2 in. So you have 3 camera option. These random wires that are hanging off of here are your EXT1 and EXT2. And looking at the RCAs themselves, sub left black, sub left right, a Sony with dual subwoofer output. Then we have front audio left, front audio right, rear audio right, and rear audio left. So this is your 6-channel 5-volt preamp output. So then we have the main harness, which is this guy right here. Let's go over briefly what these wires are for. We'll kind of break them into categories I like to do. First off is our rainbow of colors here, white, gray, green, and purple. These are our speaker outputs for that 55 watts. White is driver's front, gray is passenger front, green is driver's rear, purple is passenger rear. Solids are positive, stripes are negative. Moving on past that, we have a blue-white wire, which is our remote turn-on / amplified antenna turn-on. Pink, which is our VSS or vehicle speed sense. This is going to be used for CarPlay or Android Auto. It helps the GPS portion of it be more accurate. It is not needed for installation. However, if you are doing a smart modulant has this wire on it, I strongly recommend connecting it. Green is the emergency brake ground in wire. Think about that for a minute and you'll figure out how to hook that up properly. Black is ground, which is located next to the green. How convenient. When this sees a positive input, it will cause the radio to dim down. When that input goes away, it'll cause it to brighten it back up. Red is accessory or key. This is what's going to turn the radio on when you turn your car on. And the yellow is constant 12 volts or memory. This is what keeps everything working in the background. There is one extra harness in the bag, which is this guy right here. This is if you have an old school analog steering wheel control and you're not needing a smart harness for something, you can wire these 3 wires up to it and plug it into the back of the radio and your steering wheel controls will work. Most modern cars no longer use that style. Inside the box, we also have a plethora of little bags that we need to look at. First one, this clear bag here with the silver screws inside of it. These are going to be for mounting the radio to the dash kit. Blue bag with this cool little silver plate, that is going to be used for locking the USB-C into the back of the radio. These 2 little side pieces here are for the back of the screen to finish it off once you get all the screws in place so it looks really nice and complete. And then this blue bag with the black screws in it are said screws that we're talking about that we want to pretty and hide with these guys. With all that out of the way, this is how your radio comes assembled in the box. The screen is sitting on top. There's a bag that it is in, as well as there's a giant screen protector on top of the screen. The reason why it sits like this is because if you lift it up and flip it over, you'll see you have this big arm here that is going to be used to hold it into the dash. And what is going to be holding it into the dash is this guy right here. This is actually the radio. It is a single DIN chassis. Let's take a closer look at it and see all the cool features that it has. We'll start at the back of the radio and work our way to the front. Starting in the right hand corner next to the power plug is a 10 amp fuse, and this round input here is our Sirius XM located down inside of this cavity here. And by down, it's up to this yellow line, is our USB-C input. This is where that little cover is going to go over the back. Heatsink for the amplifier. Black connector here on the top is the iData input for the digital control. GPS antenna input. Steering wheel control input. If you are doing iData for any reason, there should be nothing plugged into this. It will be controlled through the data on the back of the radio. It's also the first question they're going to ask you if you have any problems when you call tech support, is what do you have plugged into the blue input. FM antenna with HD is located here in the bottom. Red is the microphone input. Black is the auxiliary input for your iData. If you'll notice, there's this cool little line here associated with the two. Make sure to look at the instruction manuals. Not all iData installations use the auxiliary input. This big white plug here is the RCA input. Let's take a closer look at the opposite side, looking deep down into this crevasse here. The screen is designed to slide into this and then be fastened into place. There are a couple adjustments that can be made on this. We'll turn it over here and you can see now these holes that are located all around here and one hole here. The first piece is this cover here. This is designed to slide out like this and cover up those screws that you just put in place, and then there'll be this hole that attaches to the screen itself. Now, one thing to keep in mind that is unique to the Sony is some of these radios, they have screws that you can remove that allow you to slide this thing in and out. As alluring as these screws are, they do nothing to do that. The adjustment for how far the screen comes in and out is actually on the screen. This is about all the excitement you're going to get from this, with the exception of looking at the side of the radio. Here are the holes you're going to be using. They used a standard single DIN radio chassis for this. They didn't make anything special, which means it has this here and these here. If you have a sleeve, this will slide in and lock into a sleeve, which is fairly uncommon for most of these because they really don't want you doing that. And I don't suggest doing it because this thing is heavy, and this will definitely not be enough to stop it if you get in some form of an accident. Next up is the screen. We're gonna leave this on here for now, but let's take a look at the mount and how many adjustments it has. First, it's gonna be these two screws here and here. With those 4 screws removed, we can now slide this up here to the top, and we can slide this back down to the bottom. Just to give you an idea of how much room you have, we'll set it like this, and we'll slide it up here to the top. So you get about 2.5, 2 3/4 inches of movement, and it stops at about every 1/2 inch between, so you can get an idea of it all the way down to here. The other adjustment that can be made is you can move it to the left or right. And to do that, there's 2 screws located here and 1 screw located here on the bottom. You can see the top 2 screws here and here, and you can see that you can move it over about a 1/2 inch either way for a total of about 1 inch left or inch right. The third adjustment you can make is here on the side. This screw right here, there's 1 on either side. Let's remove those. With those screws removed, I can now move this in order to change my viewing angle. We'll put this in a central location. We'll turn it here on the side. And as you can see, if I level it out, this is the angle I can get to. If I adjust it again, I can go the other way. This will also still move up and down depending on what you're trying to achieve. There are holes located in here, so you do have to line up your screws to said holes in order to lock this into place. This is made to be screwed in and not just hanging out in the dash where you can do this to it. They want it bolted into place. So make sure, as tempting as it is, that you actually do that. The last adjustment you can make is this silver screw right here, and there's 1 on each side. These screws don't come out all the way. Flip it back up on the top right here, and you'll see 1 more silver screw here. Once you've loosened that one up, you can now slide this whole apparatus forward and back. What this is doing is moving the connection point back and forth. That is the receiver for this here on the radio. We'll connect the 2 together to give you an idea. With it all the way to its most retracted in, the distance between the radio and the screen is about 1 3/4 inches. With the unit adjusted to its second location, we're at 2 1/8 inch. And with the unit back to its out of the box factory measurement, we are at 2 5/8. This is the cover, fully engaged. The side panels that come with the kit are the same for left and right. Once you get this adjusted to the height you'd like it, simply slide these into place like this, and they'll snap in. And what that'll do is that'll cover up that side view here. This is covered up by the radio itself, the piece that we showed you a second ago that slides in. That way, when looking at it from the side, it has a clean look to it. If you need to get them off, you can reach in from the side and pull them off. The only other thing that is on the screen is up here on the top. There are 4 buttons, and it is a symmetrical fit. 2 smaller buttons on the outside and 2 bigger buttons on the inside. And if you'd like to know what those 2 buttons do, stay tuned for video 2 when we fire this thing up and take a look at the operating system inside. Thank you guys so much for watching this. We hope you enjoyed this. Fernando, if you please.
On to the next one, guys.
We'll see you later next time.
Bye.
Bye.